Welcome to Top Sports Talk, presented to you by Top Sports News. I am your host, Caleb Jenneret, and next to me is my co-host, Isaac Deer. We got something special for you planned here coming up. But before we start, Isaac, how are you?
Man, it's spooky season. We're here. Halloween tomorrow. Well, when this episode comes out, it'll be today. But it is Sunday. We've got great NFL football. My cat's hanging up a 48 spot on Oklahoma State yesterday, not even giving him a chance to score one single measly point. Um, Great, man. It's, postseason left and right for every sport. We got a state champion this week. But like I said, spooky season's tomorrow. So
Before we start, we want to thank our gold sponsors, Invista Credit Union and the Family Guidance Center, for continuing to sponsor Top Sports News.
throwing a little wrench here, throwing a little curveball. Do you have your top 5 Halloween candy rankings
Yes.
available? Okay.
Yes.
'Cause I want to
Yes,
I
I
want to
got
share
them.
mine. I want to get toasted, roasted, and flat out just crushed by the internet. So if you want to do the honors,
Do you wanna alternate, or do you just want to go list and then list?
we can alternate. We
Okay.
can do you go 5, I go 5, you go 4, I go 4. We can
Perfect.
do that.
Love it. Love it.
We can have a discussion about things on the way,
Sure.
but I
Sure.
figured, we might as well have a little candy debate because I'm
No,
a big
especially
guy.
man, I love candy. If you follow us both on Twitter, you saw I think a couple of weeks ago we had a little bit of an argument about a little bit of beef about some candy. So it's a hot topic, and I'm
I'm
sure
ready to get into it. I'm
sure there's
ready.
going to be some debate on this. So my number 5. I'll start
Mm.
with my number 5. It's just so reliable, never disappoints. When you get that mini pack of Skittles in your bag, it never disappoints. Always good, always chewy, always fruity. That's always something you can just like while you're digging through, just open it up, just pour it in your mouth. You're good. Keep going. And yeah, so Skittles is my number 5.
I have a tie for number 5, but I think you read my list because I also have Skittles at number
Yeah.
5. You got to get that fruit punch to the face,
Mm-hmm.
but Skittles are good anytime. For my children out there that are watching this, ages 5 through 8, Skittles, same thing as toothpaste. Just go for it. It's got that fruity feel to it. Breath smells nice. Brush your teeth too, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
good substitute, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is not a dentist pod, so I don't think the dentist really care for what I have to say. But Skittles, always good stuff. I also have Starburst as
Mm-hmm.
a tie there. Um, at the 5 spot, I love the taste of the cherry Starburst, but I don't like how much work and how much effort you have to get in to unwrap a Starburst. That kind of bugs me. But if you buy the expensive little bag of Starburst where you can just eat them there, that's fine. I'm a college student, so I'm still balling on a budget. I have to do the hard labor and
Mm-hmm.
unwrap the little squares. But Starburst and Skittles, I have a tie at number 5 there.
Yeah, got to get that fruity candy for sure. I got some more fruity candy on my list, but not next. My number 4. Oh, it's so underrated. It's so underrated. Almond Joys are so good. You get the coconut, you get the chocolate, you get the little almond on there. It all just fits together. And when you get one of those in your bag, you eat it, and you're like, oh, I'm on a beach somewhere enjoying a nice sweet treat. And Almond Joys, man, I know Isaac's gonna have something to say about this, but Almond Joys are just so good. So underrated too.
Yeah, I got some. Whoever invented dots, whoever invented junior mints, whoever invented almond joy. I mean, there is no joy in eating an almond joy. Personally, I think it's 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 not a good time for me. I just don't. I think that's deceiving, false advertising. Almond joys just don't do it for me. I don't know what it is. I don't get any joy from it though, and I'm sorry. But I believe you. I do believe you. Maybe we just have a different acquired taste. And on our debate show that we have for the first, I don't know how many minutes. But almond joys, not for your guy here. But I respect the you putting on your suit and you're telling everybody the way it is
Mhm.
because my next pick might might do that. It's not as controversial as my number two, which we'll get to later, but my number four, we're going Tootsie Rolls. All right. Tootsie Rolls have been disrespected for the entirety of its existence. Tootsie Rolls, best commercials. What's the Tootsie Pop commercial?
How many licks does it take to get to the center of the Tootsie Pop?
Yep, yep. I mean, legendary commercial. We love owls on this show. Tootsie Rolls always just hits. Always the same consistent flavor. Always works anytime, any day. Halloween, not Halloween, Halloween, Christmas, Easter, you name it. Tootsie Rolls. An old man or woman's favorite go-to candy is also this young aspiring 24-year-old's favorite candy as well. So Tootsie Rolls, number four for me.
Yeah, you just get that synthetic chocolate. Like, it's not real chocolate, but it still gives you that taste that you just want. I don't really like the little ones. I feel like there's not enough. I like the long ones or just the really big ones.
That's right. That's
in like the foil. Oh man, love it.
I've seen those that are like, that big, and those are fun. Those are fun. I don't like the way it melts quickly.
Yeah.
And here's a little spoiler. I'm not putting Butterfingers on my list because I don't like the way it sticks to my teeth. Yeah. I kind of feel that way sometimes about Tootsie Rolls, but it doesn't have that big of an effect as Butterfingers do. But I love the taste of Butterfingers, but the nagging, hanging off the tooth feeling, nah.
Yeah, not a fan of that either. I do like the taste of Butterfingers though, but yeah, they would have made maybe an honorable mention on my list just because the teeth thing doesn't sit well with me. But my number three, I am just throwing out curveballs because this is another underrated one that I feel like people forget about. And you see them in the gas station every now and then, you have to grab them. My number three is the SpongeBob gummy Krabby Patties.
Ooh,
those things are so good. You take them apart, eat everything one at a time, or you can just eat the whole thing at once. Hits every single time. And it's just so good. It's so good. It just tops regular gummy candy for me. I love gummy bears. I love gummy worms. But when you get those gummy Krabby Patties, that synthetic looking burger, oh man, that's it for me. It just hits different.
There's so much effort that goes into those too. You can't let that effort go unnoticed. But that, man, I kind of want to restructure that. No. My top five is my top five, but that is as good as it gets. Being as a kid when you do the trick or treating and you dump all the stuff that you have, and I was always delighted to see one of those tiny Krabby Patties just like right there. Perfect. That is a great pick, Kayla. I feel like a lot of people don't mean to leave it off the list, like yours truly. I feel like
I'm saying it just goes and it gets forgotten.
It shouldn't be. I'm glad that we have this platform here to discuss the importance of Krabby Patty gummies to our society. I think it's had a big impact on us growing up and us as adults today. It's just a big life milestone to get one of those in your buckets. But let me I'll get to my number three here. We're gonna go with Twix, left and or right, whatever you prefer, left or right. I know the Twix people, they say there's a difference between left or right. I think they're both awesome. They added the little cookies and cream thing too, which is it hits right, but just your regular Twix has that nice crunch, nice little bark to the bite. I love it. I never get disappointed when a Twix bar approaches my general direction. I'm usually pretty happy to see a Twix bar. So I mean, that's gonna be at my number three spot. I think there's just two better than the Twix, but
yeah, Twix are always good. They're always reliable for me. Just didn't make my top five. My number two, it's kind of a polarizing candy is what I want to say. You either love it or you hate it. I feel like there's never anyone that's like, yeah, sure, I'll have it. It's either I want all of them or don't bring that anywhere near me. And my number two is Swedish Fish. I love Swedish Fish. If there's ever Swedish Fish just sitting on the counter, I'm picking out, like, if there's a mixed bowl of candy and Swedish fish are in there, I am picking out all of the Swedish fish and I am eating them one by one, or I'm just throwing them all in my mouth just because they say taste so good. You can taste the red dye in the candy, and it's just so good. I love it.
I was not expecting Swedish fish to be in your top two. I was not expecting that at all. I I thought, Swedish fish are usually I love the bold pick and the confidence that you show in this. This is your list, right? No one can take this
That's
list
what I'm
away from you.
saying.
No one can take this away from you.
Hey,
This is
this
your
if anybody gets just loads of Swedish fish and they want nothing to do with it, just give it to me. Just give it to me. I will spend all year eating it. Maybe a day. I might eat it all in a day because it's just so good. It's just
yeah, that's why you're the man, baby. I love it. I love it. Oh man. All right. Drum roll for my number two. Candy corn. Here we go. I love it. Give me all the candy corn that you could possibly find injected to my veins. January, February, March, April, May, it does not matter. Candy corn is the way to go here because candy corn is it's a lifestyle, honestly. It's not I like being the villain from time to time. I enjoy the hate here from there, having that Darth Vader like feeling or something like that. Like people despise you because you love something so much and other people hate it. That's me with candy corn. All right. I know candy corn is widely hated by I would say a majority of the people out there. I don't think there's a lot of people that boldly say that candy corn is their second favorite candy on planet Earth, but I'm doing that today. I am the voice for the voiceless in this matter. And I think candy corn is honestly pretty perfect. There's one candy where I think has to take the cake, and I think has more of like a perfect quality to it, which we'll get to. But candy corn, 99% perfection for me. I think the design, the sleek visual appeal of a candy corn. What are those, pellets, or is it just a corn? I don't know.
corn. Yeah, I don't know.
Just a corn. The orange, white, yellow. Oh man, come on, man!
Can't
Like
go
candy
wrong.
corn's got to be the second best candy on planet Earth. It's perfect every way, shape, or form. I know it's the ugly candy for most, but for me, it is beautiful. It is beautiful. It is a gold mine. So you with Swedish fish is me with candy corn. If you don't like it, hey, you know where to find me. I'll be at a game somewhere. Give me all
Right.
the candy corn you got.
Man,
Peace.
I do like candy corn. I do like candy corn. I will sit down and eat some candy corn. The only problem is sometimes I'll eat too much of it and it'll hurt my stomach. Like I'll feel like there's a ball of candy corn in my stomach and it'll give me some problems for a couple hours. So I couldn't make my top five just because it gives me so
It's
many problems. But in the moment, it is really good. I'll give you
Yeah,
that.
it's the enchiladas of the candy world. It's like it's the best idea in the world when you start, but when you finish, it's a horrible idea. But I think I'm immune to it. I think my stomach is built up. I have a candy corn box in here to kind of block out
You have a
all the
separate
not.
stomach for the candy
Yeah,
corn.
yeah, I don't need Tums anymore. I just eat candy corn.
Just
It's
eat
kind
candy corn.
of heartburn, stomach aches in general, anything, gas, bloating. Just eat some candy corn. It'll go away real quick if you eat
That's all you
enough of
need.
it.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
So my number one, I think it's just perfect. I think the proportions are perfect. I think the amount of every ingredient couldn't physically be better, and the ingredients are just so good and so good together. My number one candy is Reese's peanut butter
Yep.
cups.
Bingo. That's
Those
mine.
go so hard. It's not even funny. The orange wrapper, you get the big cups. Those are amazing. Those can't go wrong. Always have to get those. You see them, I'm grabbing them. They're gone. Even the little cups, not as good as the full size ones, but still, I will still eat those all day. It's not even close. Reese's Pieces are an honorable mention for me just because the chocolate peanut butter goes so well together, but it's not even close. I don't even think it's close. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like it's not even close. Reese's peanut butter cups are my number one candy of all time.
We don't need to chatter much about this anymore because I mean, obviously, like it is perfect. There is nothing wrong with it at all. I think that a good Reese's peanut butter cup, you get it at all holidays, right? You think about Easter and stuff like that. It's like there it is, right there. Thanksgiving, Halloween, Christmas. I got to a point as a child where I would tell my mom, well, I'd tell my mom to tell Santa Claus that I do not need any other candy besides Reese's in my stocking. So if you just want to pack that baby full of Reese's peanut butter cups, it'll last me, I don't know, a week or so, but you just stock that stocking full. Just tell old Saint Nick that I want that thing just filled to the brim with Reese's peanut butter cups. Honestly, dude, I would, if my car tomorrow, if I walk into my car and it's filled with Reese's peanut butter cups, I'm not going anywhere for like the next week because I'll just be in there and just stuffing my face full. No argument. That's my number one as well. It's the perfect candy. You might be a monster if you hate Reese's. Honestly,
right? Like,
I don't know what to tell you. If you don't like chocolate and peanut butter, you might. I don't know. Yeah, I can't judge though. People like pineapple on their pizza and all that other stuff, but this is not a luau here. This is a sports podcast where we discuss about Reese's peanut butter cups. So
right,
there we go.
Exactly. The closest we'll get to a luau is when I'm eating my almond joy with the coconut. Imagine myself at a luau. Yeah, that's our top 5. That's our top 5 candies, and I think I think they're good. I want to hear your guys' top 5 candies. So put them in the comments if you're watching this on Halloween or after Halloween. It's always a good time to have candy. So spooky season. Love it. Gotta love it. Spooktober. So yeah, we got a lot to get into. Obviously, I don't know how long that took, but it was worth it, however long it took. We got some good things to get into. We have a state champion to talk about, and then some other state participants as well. So I'm gonna let Isaac dive into that, and then we'll get into some playoff football.
Yeah, obviously we got to open the show with the state champs. The Washburn Rural Lady Blues volleyball team won its 8th state volleyball championship, and it's pretty significant school history. Good job. We're always rooting for you. Not a surprise. This was not a surprise at all by any means. I think you and I have talked about it every week since we started this, and their redemption tour was pretty remarkable. They fell short of their goals last year with the 4th place finish, and it was a really disappointing end to the year last year. But this year was special. I mean, when you think about it, it's like, well, what did the Lady Blues do this year? Why was it so special? They won 98% of their games, or won 98% of the matches that they played. So that was pretty awesome. Finished with a 45-1 record. Also pretty good. I think that's fine. 45-1. That's okay.
I would say so.
Win 45 out of 46. I think you're doing all right. But, they dominated their way through the state and the regular season with all their matches, and each set that they had, it was pretty clear that Washburn Rural was the top dog and they were going to be the team that people had to beat. Blue Valley fell short of that on Saturday, and Washburn Rural, like I said, to start off, not a surprise to many, was crowned state champion. So that was a great way to end the year for them. That was very deserving for head coach Kevin Bordewick, who we've talked about quite a bit. He's won a zillion matches and basketball games and he's been around forever and he's done such great work and he's always consistent with what he preaches. And, no one deserves it more than Kevin Borderick. And that the girls' athletic programs at Washburn Rural is just on another level compared to everybody else. So, the consistency, the dominance, everything that you see with Washburn Rural, it was pretty obvious that this was the year that they were going to do with Brooklyn DeLay leaving for Kentucky and Taylor Russell and all the awesome seniors that they have leaving. It was pretty evident that this was going to be the year for him. But also shout out to the Seaman Lady Vikes, who had a runner-up finish in the 5A state tournament. We're so close, but a lot of people know that they have a really young team, a really, really young team. And they're scary. They're a scary bunch. And if they're here now, imagine what next year is going to look like and the year after. They always have a really tight core over in North Topeka. And I think that, it was a disappointing end, but still runner ups with as youthful as your team is and everything else and the continuity that you've built. It's pretty remarkable to me. So we'll see next fall what this team can do, but I bet it's going to be something special. So that's kind of a wrap for volleyball. Those were the two teams that made their way to the state tournament. We had some cross country action last week. Washburn Rural girls, like I was mentioning, the girls' athletic programs at Washburn Rural are remarkable. They earned a state trophy with a third place finish at the Class 6A state tournament Saturday at Rimrock Farm up in Lawrence. Topeka West star Lenny Narogi, he out of all the Shawnee County individual medalists, there were 8 of them. He finished the highest with a 4th place finish in the 5A boys state race. And there's a lot of notable athletes that were able to make some noise and to put up some pretty good times and PRs. Like I said, there's a lot of names. So if you want to go check that out, topsports.news, you'll see state cross country roundup within the first couple of pages on the homepage. Rick Peterson's got a wonderful write up as usual on the great individual and team performances at Rimrock last week by the classes. So go check that out. You'll see the full list of names and some of the notes that Pistol has, and highly recommend checking that out. So that's just kind of what's gone on with two sports. Washburn Rural Soccer advancing to the Class 6A state tournament after their quarterfinal victory last week. Shawnee Heights fell short, and Topeka High and Hayden also fell short. But Washburn Rural is the lone soccer team that will be looking to find a state championship. So congrats to them on that. I'm looking forward to seeing what next week or what this week looks like for myself and scheduling, but it'll be fun. But there's a lot of road games that we did not have last week for football, which will be a little disappointing, but we'll get to that here in a second. But let's talk some gridiron, Caleb. Let's do it.
Can't wait. So as we mentioned, or as Isaac mentioned, a lot of home games last week, a lot of away games this week. Just kind of how Kansas playoff high school football goes, kind of flip flops. But also with playoffs, you either win or you go home. And there was some teams that went home this last Friday that will not be playing in this season. But we're just going to go through all the classes. So starting in 6A, Topeka High dropped to Derby, 69-12. I feel like we can't say it enough. Topeka High showed all they could this year. I mean, they did all they could with the schedule that they were given, the absolute gauntlet that was put in front of them. But something to think about that is absolutely wild to me. All but one team that Topeka High played this year is in the second round of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Even the team that they beat in Emporia, who we'll talk about later, is in the second round of the playoffs. So that just shows how good this schedule was that Topeka High played. And Topeka High is such a young team that I just feel like it's only up from here. And with all this experience of playing these top teams, you get these young guys some more experience and just hopefully push on this momentum, or push on some momentum, some bright spots into the next years, see what they can do.
Yeah, and you think about it, they started out the year defensively facing one of the top quarterbacks in the entire nation, and Avery Johnson, who's committed to Kansas State. They end their year defensively having to face Notre Dame running back commit Dylan Edwards and all the talented teams that they've had to face along the way. And you mentioned it, man. It was just a juggernaut of a schedule for a team that's very young and has a lot of hope. Carlos Kelly's a terrific coach. This was a learning year, a year to get in the system, year to just kind of let those wounds heal up for next year. Let those battle scars heal up and get after it next year. But the season's over now. Forget about it. Just move forward. That's all you can do is just move forward. And it's a fresh start, breath of fresh air, weight off the shoulders, you name it for Topeka High. For them to have plenty of time to get back on the field next year and to improve on a year where it was unfortunately given to them as it was going to be a tough year no matter what, no matter how good of a team that you put out on the field. It was going to be a tough year to find your way to the top. So, yeah, well, we'll see what next year brings, and I know Carlos Kelly will have his guys ready.
Yeah, for sure. The next team to drop a game in the playoffs is Topeka West. We knew that they were going to have a chance to win this game against Sumner. Lost eventually in a 47-42 high scoring heart wrencher. But to be this close in a playoff game after the season that they had, I think you can just take away some momentum and some bright spots from that. So really happy for the Topeka West Chargers, especially with how things ended with their regular season, and just to come in here and really put up a really good fight against a higher seed in the playoffs is something to look at, something positive to look at.
Yeah, and you think about it, it's like offensively, I think they only scored over 20 points twice in a season. They put up 42. They doubled that. That was awesome for them. And you and I we were so close on that prediction. I thought Topeka West was going to win that game. You thought Topeka West was going to win that game, but they just fell short. But that's a great way to finish off your season. If you think about the long term, it's like it's been a disastrous year for him. So I think the 5-point loss to a higher seed on the road, you put up 42. You give it your all on that. On the field to end the seniors to end their year and for everybody else to kind of regroup for next year. That was a great way for them to end off.
Mm-hmm. Then moving on to another one, we mentioned it before. Emporia beat Highland Park. Highland Park had their best season in over a decade, so that's definitely something to look positive at. Man, it was a high scoring match between these guys, 83-64 as the Scots fall. I would not want to be the guy keeping stats for this game. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I would hate to be that guy too. Oh wait, that guy was me. Yeah. Yeah, it was no defense would be a nice thing to say there, but I think 83-64 kind of tells you all you need to know about this game. It was nuts. It was bonkers. It was berserk. And shout out to Bobby Trujillo, the running back for Emporia, 28 carries, 301 yards, and 9 touchdowns, which a legendary playoff performance for a senior who's kind of been a beast. He had some terrific TFLs at linebacker too, and forced a lot of issues for Highland Park that they haven't faced offensively. They put up 64 points, but they did struggle at times. They struggled to put up long drives. The thing that kept the Scots in there was those quick explosive plays. Those the long explosive plays that really the 50+ yard passes and the big sweeps by Trey Richardson, who had his monster day as well, 5 touchdowns. I can't even remember how many total yards he had. It was just off the wall, but as each team had 500+ total team yards, and no defense, like I said, would be a nice thing to say. But yeah, I mean, just the long when you think about the bigger picture is that Highland Park finished their season 6-3. That was the first time they had a winning season since 1995. And the fact that they were able to put up 6 wins. That was more combined than their last previous 10 years. It was a huge, huge year for them. And this move to the Meadowlark Conference is genius. It's building morale within the community, giving people some hope. It's way more about just a 19-point victory by Emporia last Friday. This is way more than that. Look forward to next year. Try to get those wins back. Try to snap that 31-year playoff win drought next year. But just I don't think that game. I mean, it meant something. Definitely meant something. But at the same time, it's like this was your year, guys. This was seniors. You did this. This is your mark. This is one of the most successful seasons Highland Park's ever had. So I mean, when you think about it, it's like, yeah, it matters, but at the same time, not really. It's great job by Emporia for putting up 84 points, and your star running back having 301 yards and 9 touchdowns. There was a game this year where Emporia had -1 rushing yards, and the fact that they were able to dominate the way they did, really impressive. That was their first win since September 2nd, against I think Pittsburgh. But anyways, yeah, it was great year by the Scots. I don't think anybody pictured the team that was going into the year losing 65 games in a row would be hosting a home playoff game. Like, that's insane. So great job for the Scots. I'm looking forward to an encore next year, seeing what they can do next year.
Yeah, for sure. Another loss that came in Seaman at a loss to Blue Valley Southwest. For the third straight year, the Timberwolves have ended the Viking seasons.
Yeah.
But a successful Viking season nonetheless. Ended with a 4-4 record, I believe, or 4-3.
I don't have it off the top of my head either.
I know they missed a game in the season, so I'm not sure exactly what their record is. 4-4. So yeah, 500 season. Obviously, it's not what they wanted. They wanted more, but not a bad season at all. Nothing to hang their head about.
Yeah, and I think the bye week didn't help in the seedings and everything else. And Blue Valley Southwest has been their kryptonite for the last 3 years. Blue Valley Southwest will play that Emporia team I just talked about at Blue Valley Southwest. But the Timberwolves record is always deceiving because of the league that they play in. The league that they play in is just filled top to bottom with insane talent. So obviously a crushing loss, and I think if you lose to the same team in the playoffs 3 years in a row early, it's a tough one. It's a tough pill to swallow, with an extremely young offensive line, first year quarterback, a lot of guys getting used to that spread offense and their multiple ways on defense. It's a learning lesson for sure. Man, are they going to want Blue Valley Southwest next year? They're going to want to seal the deal and everything else. But yeah, tough way to end the year. But obviously it wasn't as bad of a year as it could have been, especially with the bye week. It could have really messed up some stuff there. But yeah, tough United Kansas Conference too, an extremely stacked United Kansas Conference. So looking forward to what the Vikings can do next year.
Yeah. And then our final losing team of the week was Silver Lake. We mentioned it. I mean, they had a tough first round matchup against a really good Riley County team. And they dropped it 21-23. Really close game, but Coach Pegram loses his first playoff game as the head coach of the Eagles. But he's got years ahead of him, and he had some really good moments as a first year coach. I think this is better than what you could have asked for. So looking forward to see what Silver Lake can do. And yeah, these 2A, 3A, 4A matchups are a little bit different because not everybody makes the playoffs. So you have to qualify for the playoffs and then play in the first round. So that's why it's a little bit tougher in the first round for these smaller schools. But really, really good season for Silver Lake.
Yeah, and to quote the American staple Green Day, do you know your enemy? It's like, yeah, I think Riley County knows their enemy pretty well, and I think Silver Lake knew them pretty well. And we knew that was going to be the challenge coming in. anytime you play an opponent that you're so familiar with, it's always so tough to come out with a win, especially during the postseason. Riley County hasn't had the year that they wanted, and they were playing for everything. So for Silver Lake to fall short, it's a bummer for them. But um, like you said, it's a lot of years ahead. Um, it's just a bummer that they finished out the way that they did, but it was a great year for them, beating Rossville in that overtime victory, and from there that team really skyrocketed into something else. But first round playoff exit at home is never ideal, but shout out to Silver Lake this year on a pretty magnificent year.
Mhm. So now moving on to the teams that are still alive and that we will still be talking about for at least one more week. Washburn Rural is the starting in 6A, pulled out the victory over Dodge City nonetheless. Probably wanted the game to be a little bit cleaner. It was a sloppy first half, kept it closer than they probably wanted to. But as I said last week, Dodge City's not just going to come in and lay down, even though they were with a lower seed. I think it doesn't help that Washburn Rural played in games where the last 3 games they played, their starters probably didn't play the second half. So maybe the sloppiness can equate to that a little bit. Not really tested, not really prepared, but their talent came out and their talent played really well. Defense obviously played really well, allowing 0 points and offense putting up 36. You can never ask for more than that. So they have the talent. They have the talent to take this far. They just need to put it all together. And once they're clicking, they're clicking. And I wouldn't want to be in their path, but they have a long trek to Garden City this Friday. Looking forward to that game, but I can say right now I probably will not be at that game as that is a long ways away. But looking and gonna be paying attention to the final in that one.
Right. And yeah, 4 hours and 45 minutes to play a playoff game. Woo wee. That's a tough one. But yeah, Garden City, their next opponent, is a good team. You know, their 2 losses were to a 5A Great and Hayes and a pretty stunning loss to Great Bend. But Gardens had a pretty convincing year overall. They had a 35-14 win against Campus last week. The Buffaloes have had some pretty subpar seasons since 2018. But they've had a terrific year this year. Historically, been a really solid team, but this will be not surprising the longest road trip of the year for Washburn Rural. But Washburn Rural has looked extremely impressive this back half of the year. After that loss to Junction City, this team has looked incredible. That shutout last week against Dodge City. Luckily, they didn't have to travel that because traveling to Dodge one week and then Garden the other would stink. But Washburn Rural's defense has been stout the last 5 weeks, and you think about it, first 4 weeks the defense allows 98 points. In the last 5 weeks, they've allowed just 56 points, and defensively, they've been terrific. Decreasing the points basically by half is remarkable at this stage of the year. The Washburn Rural offense has also been pretty good the second half of the year. You think about that. In the first 4 weeks, Rural's offense put up 139 points. The last 5, Rural's put up 238 points. So as a team right now, Washburn Rural is one of the hottest teams in the state. The challenges of that brutal road trip and a Garden City team that's heating up, this could be one of the best games in the entire state next week.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. Always enjoy following Washburn Rural just because you never know what could happen. So then now moving down to 5A, our next winner was Shawnee Heights. It came in a game that or at least I did not expect to be this close. But as we said, once you get to playoffs and once you've played a team that you've already played before, they know what you're going to do and they know your game plan. So they're going to come out and hit you in the mouth. And Lansing definitely hit them in the mouth, but Shawnee Heights came out and won 28-21. But they will be traveling to a very tough matchup next week with top highly ranked Mill Valley, trying to pull the upset, which I think they're fully capable of doing. They just got to put everything together.
Yeah, and I think this Mill Valley group should be regarded as one of the best teams in all classes and in the entire state. I think these 2 teams they met up last year in the 5A playoffs. First round, Mill Valley beat them 42-7. that was a tough one for Shawnee Heights, especially the year that they were having at the back half of the year last year. But by far, this will be the biggest test for Jason Swift's crew this year. If they want to make progress on this redemption tour for what Mill Valley did to them last year, they will have to upset a really determined Mill Valley team this year. Um, Obviously, Mill Valley's loaded with weapons, offense, defense, special teams. It's a well-rounded, complete team, and Shawnee Heights is also pretty good. You think about those defensive outbursts that they've had this year where they've, hats to the ball, played incredible, leaving teams 7 points, 0 points. They're going to have to play their best defense far and away. Alan Bowman's definitely going to have a big game here, which he's accustomed to. Um, but they're going to have to force some turnovers and force them early and capitalize. I think that's going to be the key to the game. Can Shawnee Heights strip the ball? Can they get some important tackles for losses? I think the defense is going to be the factor in this game because we know Alan Bowman's going to do his thing. We're just going to have to see if Shawnee Heights can force turnovers against a team that doesn't give up the ball very much. So that's gonna be the key, and it's a road trip. So that'll be tough as well. So we'll see how next week goes, but don't count out the Thunderbirds. Definitely don't count them out yet.
Yeah, looking forward to that one too. Moving on to a sole 3A team, Hayden Wildcats. They are moving on after a dominant performance over Baldwin City, 63-8. But next week, they will play in maybe the most anticipated game of the next round against the undefeated Wellsville Eagles. Looking forward to that one. You got undefeated Wellsville against one-loss Hayden. Two really good programs just going at each other, and maybe to see who's going to come out of this east side of the 3A bracket. Some really, really big time implications on this game. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, Mike Burr's Wellsville squad is on another level, quite frankly. A team that finished 10-1 last year, 9-0 this year. They haven't been close to being stopped. They haven't even come close to being stopped this year. Personally, I felt that Wellsville has kind of been disrespected and overlooked in the 3A world this year. I feel like some of the rankings for them, media wise and state wise, were low. I feel like the quality of ones that they've had have been terrific, and I believe that they deserve to be ranked in the top portion of 3A. But it doesn't matter anymore because everybody's 0-0. Well, these teams are 1-0, but everybody, you start off fresh when the playoffs come. Wellsville's defense and offense have been great. You think about their defense, the most points that they've allowed in a single game this year is 21. That was to Bishop Ward, and then the defense in 6 games this year allowed 8 points or less. So that's a touchdown or less in 6 games this year. So that is a really tough defense to put points on. I think by far, I think they're one of the best defenses in the entire state. They have a running back with the coolest name on planet Earth, senior running back Nash Money. As I watched him play in the playoffs last year, the kid was special. Like last year, he's been an issue for defenses all year. This year as well. Try this. It's 161 carries, 1,142 yards, and 20 touchdowns on the ground. So this will be Hayden's biggest test for sure since Holton, I think. I think that Holton game really humbled them. I think they probably learned a lot of lessons. Hayden's offense, obviously, you mentioned the 63 points last week. They've been like that all year where they've really put it on some teams. And now it's the playoffs. You can't lay off the gas for anybody. And I think Hayden's a pretty well-rounded, complete team, and I think Wellsville is as well. Obviously, Wellsville hasn't lost a game all year, and Hayden's one loss was to Holton, who could be the number 1 team in the state. So yeah, it's going to be fireworks galore. I think this game could be a really close game that we'll remember until the end of time, or it's going to be a blowout. I don't think there's going to be a nice medium. I think it's one or the other. But I'm leaning towards close game that we're going to remember for the end of time.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a fun one. I don't know where I'm going this week, but I can keep my fingers crossed that I'm going there because I want to see this game. But lastly, we have Rossville, who rolled to victory 56-8 against Minneapolis. I predicted a closer matchup than this. I thought Minneapolis was a tougher team. Maybe they are. Maybe Rossville's just built for the playoffs as we've seen the past couple of years. But they've got a tough one. They've got a tough one. Number 1 ranked Nemaha Central in round 2, who's big, strong, fast, and just good. Just really, really good everywhere. Not saying Rossville can do it, because Rossville has shown in the past that they can win state championships, and they got the talent, and they got the experience to do that. It's just going to be really tough. It's going to be their toughest game of the year for sure.
Yeah, and Nemaha Central this year, you mentioned number 1, 485 points scored to 87 allowed. In their undefeated season, their 9-0 record. It's Rossville's gotten the best of Nemaha Central a couple times in the last few years, and I think it's going to be the toughest battle that they're gonna have in quite some time. And I don't think this is the same Rossville team. I quite frankly don't think this is the same Nemaha Central team. Coach Michael Glassick for Nemaha Central has weapons. He just has huge guys on that front 5, which you don't really see very often in 2A. Big running back, big offensive line, big defensive line. Rossville's got some big guys on the offensive line, defensive line. So the trench battle is really intriguing when you think about it, because in 2A you get some guys 260, 270, but consistently left tackle to right tackle, guard to guard, and center being big guys, like real big guys. I think that's kind of cool to see, especially at that level. Teams that effectively run the ball and classic running the ball down your throat style. And then Nemaha Central and Rossville, they know what challenges each team presents, and that'll be a fun game. I don't think it'll be lopsided. I think it'll be close. But Rossville has a huge challenge in front of them this upcoming Friday.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to that game too. That's gonna be a fun one to watch.
That's all right.
So that's all we got this week. We'll be back next week. Hope you enjoyed our 3 different segments. We did our candy ranking, we did the other sports, and then we did our long football segment. Please comment down below your favorite candy. I want to argue with you guys, and I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. But yeah, can't wait for these games. Can't wait to see who makes it. Can't wait to see who falls out. Obviously, we don't want anyone to fall out. That came out weird. Didn't want it to sound like that. But yeah, subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit the bell so you don't miss it, and we'll see you next week.